here we are underwater with the start of consequences. This was very difficult because we had to put Sarah underwater. We were in a tank. We were in the tank that Baywatch uses. It was night, and it was not a fun time, as I recall. Tempers were short. It was near the end of the episode, and all anybody could think about was how soon we got away from it. Let's get finished. Let's get out of the water. I was sick. Sarah was sick. It was a difficult time. Fortunately, the show transitions into Buffy's house. We got back on solid ground. I prepare for 7 days for the episode. A director's contract calls for 15 days. You use 7 days to prepare and 8 days to shoot. So, generally speaking, you get your script on time. Once in a while, you get your script a little bit late. Hopefully, we always get our 7 days to prepare. It's not always the case. But upon getting the script, there are always revisions. You get the initial script, and then the writers start to fine-tune. And most of the changes that are made are subtle changes just to help the story along. Occasionally, you'll get a big change. A scene will be dropped or a scene will be added, and you have to figure something out that you hadn't planned on. But for the most part, you get your 7 days. For me, the preparation is particularly easy in the regard that I know the sets, I know the actors, I know the crew. After being the director of photography on approximately, at this point in time, 80 some odd shows, it gives me a definite advantage over some of the other directors. Other than our staff directors, we have if it's Joss or David or Jimmy Cotner, all of whom have directed multiple episodes, they're in good shape. But certainly for the guys coming in for the first time, I have an advantage over them because I'm on the set every day and I make the show work. I'm one of the elements that's there just to get things done and work with the directors as far as staging, as far as blocking the scenes and making everything work. This scene, this was the first time we brought Wesley into the group and integrated him into the group.
Don't let me interrupt. Wait, let me interrupt. I'm in a hurry.
And let him begin to take over, and it was fun actually because it was Wesley's meeting Cordelia for the first time, and there was an instant karma between these two when they're both taken with one another, and it makes it even more enjoyable. And I think that Faith reminds them at the end that Cordelia is indeed a minor. This person Wesley is so smitten with.
You're the new Watcher.
So we had fun with that. We don't have Charisma's no longer on the show, so we don't get to have fun with her like we used to. She was a terrific presence on the set. We always enjoyed having her around. As with Alexis, they've both gone on to Angel, so they've got their own show now. I miss them both. They were fun. They were definitely fun.
It's about time we got some fresh blood around here.
The show breaks down to about 2 days on location and 6 days on stage. The stage days obviously are easier for us because we're in a controlled environment. The location days are far more difficult. Whenever you give up control, you lose the ability to have things exactly how you want them. And on this particular show, I believe we had 2 days of location. We had the water sequence, which was a location day, and then we have a sequence that takes place on the docks, which was a very, very difficult day. It was one of our longer days of the shoot. We had planned on a sequence of events that would open with a wide shot of the ship. It was to be done from a crane, and unfortunately the crane was 2 hours late in arriving, so from the beginning we were in trouble. That's when the director tries to play catch-up. You try and shoot around the fact that we needed to do the crane shot first because we needed to have the docks clear for the crane shot. After the crane shot, we were going to go in and begin with the essence of the scene. So it was a question of kind of vamping for 2 hours and making do until we could get our crane there and get the setup that we needed. Turned out to be a very difficult day.
And that was cool?
There's never been storyboards for the show, and I don't know why. It would be more difficult for me in a way if there were storyboards for the show. I like to think that we create the look, that we set the frame and create the look. I mean, that really is my responsibility to oversee that, and we've had success with that. We've had a lot of luck with that. So we work without storyboards, and it's fine. That's not a problem for me. Yeah, the toughest thing for all the directors that come onto the show is that Joss has a very specific idea of what he wants. He has a vision that's very clear in his own mind, and hopefully Joss and the other writers can convey that vision to the director. But there are times when you struggle against, you take the vision against the reality of making it work, trying to put those two factors together, and it becomes incredibly difficult to translate that vision onto the film. We're more fortunate than most because we've got terrific writers, and we also have very understanding writers. You know, if you get in a pinch, you call somebody down to the set and say, look, this isn't working. What do we need to do here to fix this? What elements are we not giving you to make this scene complete? And our writers are extremely good about that. Joss being far and away the best, Marty also being great, that they can come down and say, look, this is the essence of what I was going for here. And maybe if we change the shot one way or another, if we add this element or we take an element away, it'll be easier to get. And so they kind of help you make it work.
Guess it'll take more than this to
One of the great things about this show is we've had such a selection of characters. I'm just looking at Harry and Trick, at the mayor and Mr. Trick right now. The mayor was a great character. It was fun to work with. He was so evil and so funny that every day he'd walk on the set, you'd laugh at him because he put so much into the part, and he was such a pleasant guy to work with that we've had a series of those characters that have come and gone. Armin Shimmerman, who was the principal, some of the past principals that have come through, that are just fun people that we've kind of killed off season by season. We keep killing them off.
Wow.
But they always make it fun while they're here.
The Slayer up for murder 1. That's sunshine and roses to me. It really is.
The actors at this point really have their characters figured out. The actors know who they are, and they know how to generate the character that we're trying to see, and the writers are extremely good at writing for those characters. The writers take the best assets of the actors and incorporate it into the script, and it makes it very easy for the actors to give it to you. Some actors obviously are more method oriented than others, but for the most part, the actors are a dream to work with. I've never worked with a cast of with an ensemble cast of actors that's been as easy to work with as these kids are. They're just, everybody works hard. They come in prepared. Sarah especially, there's nobody better. She does not miss a line. She does not miss a mark. And for me, as a cinematographer as well as director, she never misses a light. She finds the light. I'll watch her during the scene, and I'll watch her kind of slide left or slide right to find the light. If another actor has blocked her light or taken her light, I can just see the mind working. I can see a very subtle shift in her body, and suddenly she's in the light again. Saves countless takes that way for us because she knows the mechanics of the business as well as the art of the business. So she's a dream to work with. And Eliza was great to work with as well. You know, for young women, and they're young women. Sarah's 23, 24 years old. Eliza is probably 21 or 22. For young women, they're just right on the money. They really have it together, and it's me being the father of two young women, it's delightful to see because, you know, my girls are together and these girls are together as well. I kind of feel like they're my girls. Some of the cast have become like an extension of my family. Sarah's certainly like a third daughter for me.
What is that supposed to mean?
Dirty.
They are petite.
It creeped inside you and you can't get it out.
I don't know what it is, but they all seem to be about that same size, and
Is there going to be an intermission in this?
they have a look. They all have their own look, but when you put her next to somebody, you can see that she's got a look, she's got a quality that comes through that she's so above average in every respect.
Fancy, but it gets you gone.
And they know how to wear their clothes, and they know how to show themselves off just incredibly well. You know, they're self-confident and smart.
I missed the mark last night, and I'm sorry about the guy. I really am. And didn't you stop the world from ending?
This was a hard scene, the scene where Faith and Buffy walk down the street and try and figure out the morality of what's gone on with the killing of the deputy mayor. Faith is trying to bring Buffy to her side, and Buffy's resisting.
You're still not seeing the big picture, B. Something made us different.
It was a tough scene to do. It was a tough scene to block, and it was a tough scene to shoot because there were so many elements of the story that we were trying to get across here. It just it made it.
That's right. Better.
It made it a tough night. There were a couple tough scenes in this episode. This one being one of them, the scene on the docks being one, and the scene where Faith and Buffy are being interviewed by the detective. Because I had a concept of how I was going to shoot the scene and had blocked it out in a certain way. And the day before we were going to shoot it, Joss came to me and said, you know, I've been thinking about this scene, and I think I'd like to see it done this way. And it was somewhat different than what I had planned, and it was kind of back to the drawing boards, trying to figure out how to stage in the sets where we were working, how to stage the scene and make it come to life the way he wanted it to. I think we were successful. I was pretty happy.
Hanging.
But it was one of those curveballs that was thrown at you at the last moment.
It's with my friend Buffy.
Trying to intercut the two scenes as we cross behind Detective Stein on Buffy's side and come out on Eliza on the other side.
Somebody stabbed this guy through the heart. Strange thing is, the weapon, it was made out of wood.
We generally work with one camera, sometimes two.
Any of this mean anything?
And the approach is, it's a very standard approach. You know, most of the shows do it the same way. You go in, you shoot your master angle. You block your scene with your you rehearse and you block your scene with your actors, and you talk about your camera angles. You pick your camera angles and you talk about your cutting sequence, how you think the scene's going to be cut.
I promise you.
And you shoot your master, which is a wide angle shot that encompasses as much of the scene as possible. And then you start to go in for your coverage. You do tighter in one direction, you do tighter in the other direction. So you wind up with a scene with two people speaking, and you may wind up with five different camera angles, 4 or 5 different camera angles, which are progressively getting tighter. And it's trying to figure out exactly where you would make your cut in, which winds up being an editor's choice. It's the director's choice, but it's also an editor's choice. But I'm trying to think. I'm cutting the scene in my mind as I'm watching the blocking of the scene. I'm thinking, okay, I want to carry the master to here, and then this dialogue starts to reveal a certain part of the story, and I want to let that motivate my cut in. I want to go in close because this is information that's critical to the story, and so I want to tell it. I want to transmit that information in a slightly different way. So I want a tighter angle.
I don't like it.
Sometimes it's a higher angle, sometimes it's a lower angle. It all depends. It's about storytelling. Yeah, what we do is we tell stories,
I mean,
and we
don't get
let
me
the
wrong.
camera
I completely understand why you and
be
Vic
the
have a
eye
bonding thing.
to
You
tell the
guys work
story.
together.
You know, as I watch this, I get, as I say, it's been several years since I directed this episode, so it brings back just a host of pleasant memories.
It's like, all of a sudden, I'm not cool enough for you because I can't kill things with my bare hands. Oh.
It's the kids all look so much younger. You know, in 2 years they've matured so much. It makes it fun to look at. The location in this episode at the docks was a great location for me to work at as a director. I also looked at it with my cinematographer's eye when I scouted the location. We do what we call a technical scout, where the director goes out with the best boy electrician and the best boy grip. And we talk about what angles we're going to shoot and where the lights are. So that was a great location for me because I was able to use my cinematographer's ability when I scouted that location to say, okay, I want the look to be this, and talk to them about where the lighting instruments should go in order to achieve the effect. It's one of the great advantages, another one of the great advantages of being a cinematographer and a director, that I try and stylize my shows a little bit. Even though I'm not the cinematographer on them, I can talk to the cinematographer and explain to him what effect I'm going for, and I can talk to him on his terms, and it makes it much easier to achieve a more stylized look. And this is a stylized show. That's been one of the keys to doing this show, is we have not wanted to produce a show that is the average television show. We have always fought to go way. We've tried to raise the bar. We've tried to go way above average. And
I don't want to hear any more lies.
You can't be serious.
Joss really has inspired that more than anyone, because the quality of the writing, the quality of the stories have been so good that as a cinematographer and director, I've always tried to find a look that would be worthy of the stories that we're telling. And so when I came into Buffy, I tried to give it a very special look. It certainly isn't flat. The lighting primarily comes from the side or from the back. When I walk onto the set, I always think of the backlight being the most important light, and then take the backlight and wrap it around and try and make it a side light. And it gives the show a more sense of style. Keeps it interesting looking. It's not flat looking. The light is seldom, if ever, close to the camera. It's always off to the side or behind. Carrie Meyer and David Conniff, David being our set decorator, and Carrie being production designer, they've given us great sets to work with. Carrie has an incredible imagination and knowledge of film, and builds sets that are workable and that are visually stimulating. And all of this done in, we have our 3 stages, but we have to remember that our 3 stages were at one time a warehouse. They're not the normal, typical Hollywood soundstage. We don't have the height. We don't have the ability to light from on high. We don't have what they call green beds, which are suspended platforms above a stage where the electricians can place lights. We don't have any of that. So what Carrie has done is come in and used the space we have in such a way that we can take the best advantage of it. And he always gives me good stuff. And David always gives me good stuff when I look at the way the sets are decorated. When I look at the placement of lights, and I look at the placement of photographs or paintings in the sets, and I look at the furniture in the sets, and it makes you want to sit down in most of the sets and be comfortable, and they're easy to photograph, and they're workable. They give me the space, and they're very workable. Oh, the hours we work are long hours. I'm going to underline that long, because the average day in the television world is approximately 12 hours of shooting time. I know that we do 12 hours, 13 hours, occasionally 14 hours. In the early seasons, we would do more than that occasionally, 15, 16, 17 hours. Now, however, they're really trying to hold us to the 14 hours for a couple of reasons. One, obviously the expense. But two, you lose your ability to be productive after 14 or 15 hours. And there was a really, really unfortunate incident 2 years ago where a crew member, not on Buffy, a crew member on another production, was driving home after a 16 or 17-hour day and fell asleep at the wheel and was in a tragic automobile accident in which he was killed. So the industry as a whole has tried to cut down on the hours a little bit. And certainly we attempt to do that here. They fight us. I mean, the studio fights us going more than 14 hours, and we try not to go 14 hours. So we wind up with what we call a second unit, which is another group that comes in and kind of cleans up the mess, so to speak. Second unit comes in, and if there's a fight sequence or if there's some kind of an action sequence or a stunt sequence that can be done with doubles and stunt people, then the second unit will come in and stage that sequence and do that sequence, and it frees the first unit up from that time commitment, and we can go on and deal with the rest of the story. You know, one of the interesting things about Buffy for me is the fact that this show was like the little show that could. When I was first approached about doing Buffy as a cinematographer, I wasn't particularly interested in doing the show, and it took several phone calls before I would come in and meet with Joss. I didn't know that much about it, and I had seen the movie, and the movie was okay, but I didn't know that I wanted to be involved, whether I wanted to be involved in a series like this or not. So Gareth Davies, who's our producer, our line producer, and whom I have worked with many times in the past, kept saying, just come in and meet, just come in and meet. And once I did, I realized I wanted to be involved with the show. But the show, because we were not on a major network, and because the studio wasn't willing to throw a lot of money at us in the beginning, we've always worked on a very tight budget. The first season, I used to say, Joss, I don't know how to do this. I can't do this. We can't get all this work done. And he'd say, we can do all this work. We can do it. He was like a cheerleader. Come on, you can do this work. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. And somehow we kind of worked our way through it, you know. I never really knew how we were going to get through it, but somehow we got through the first season, and at the end of the first season, we realized that people really liked the show. This little show called Buffy the Vampire Slayer found an audience. And by the end of the second season, we were a hit. We were there. People were talking about Buffy. Buffy was special television, and it remains to this day. It still is special television. We still don't have large budgets. We still try and make do on less than other shows. Our budget, I'm guessing that our budget is probably half of what X-Files is. So, you know, we try and pull a rabbit out of the hat. Every 8 days, we pull another rabbit out of the hat and try and get an episode completed. It's been incredibly difficult and yet incredibly rewarding. Eliza photographs great, and she's so much fun. She's got a wicked sense of humor. Eliza just is absolutely. She will break you up laughing. She's sexy. She's body. She's a kid. She's a woman. She has all those elements, and she will keep you laughing. And if you ever ride with her in the car, she'll really get your heart started.
Firsthand that you're
Sarah and I and Eliza had dinner one night, and we went to meet another group, and Eliza was driving, and we were trying to give her directions, and it was
You try to hurt me.
it was interesting. It was
Right now, you need someone on your side.
it was fun.
What happened wasn't your fault.
And Nikki
Testify to that. In court,
has perhaps
if you need
the best sense of comedic timing of anyone on the show.
To get up in front of all your
Nikki can come in and steal a scene from anybody. He can come into a scene that's a 3-page scene and have 4 lines and can steal a scene.
I mean, it was nice. It was great.
He just he's got that look about him.
Okay.
He's a handsome kid,
They sure yank.
and he's got this
Not now.
incredible sense of comedic timing.
Come
And then,
on.
of course, there's David,
Came here to help.
who's gone on to the success of his own show,
I thought we had a
who was a
connection.
great presence on the set, who was, no matter what we asked him to do, he was right there. He was relaxed. He was happy. He was smiling. And certainly was always one of the crew favorites while he was here. He was one of the boys.
I forget.
He would hang with the crew. And it always made it fun.
There's more than that.
I don't know if we've broken any barriers with this show, with content, but we've certainly taken some chances. You know, if you look at the scene where Eliza begins to seduce Nick and winds up strangling him, almost killing him, it's, again, it's not your average television, and it's a concept, you know, Marty turns out great scripts. She just keeps it up and keeps it up. And here Eliza's about to strangle Nick. Fortunately, we're going to have Angel to the rescue. What you see is all, it's in the script. You know, we will improvise we don't really improvise anything. We'll create the license as to how we show it, how we photograph it. You know, a scene may be, the writer may specifically say, this is how the scene should be, and you get to the set, and you say, well, it doesn't work that way. It works in your mind that way, but it doesn't work for the camera that way. So you take the license to make it work. You figure out what the essence of the scene is, and place the camera in a position so you can tell the story. But as far as dialogue and action, the only license we ever take is with stunt action and fights. Sometimes you'll add or you'll delete action to make it conform. But with dialogue, what's on the page is what comes out. Occasionally, an actor will be unhappy with a line, and we may do a little line change. But for the most part, it's done with either a writer's or producer's approval. As far as the wardrobe goes, the wardrobe's always been very cutting edge on Buffy, and for a cinematographer and director,
Only you get more from
I need to get involved occasionally from a color standpoint, usually looking at the color palette, not the style of the wardrobe, because I don't really become involved with the style. But with color, there are certain colors that just don't work, especially in a show that's dark, that with a lot of nights. Occasionally, we'll find a great outfit that Sarah will look good in or Allison will look good in, and it should be a perfect outfit, and yet in the context of the scene, the outfit doesn't work. Either the outfit is too bright, or the outfit may be too dark,
That's not what I mean.
or there may be another actor in wardrobe that's too close to the same color. So those are the times that I get involved in wardrobe. It's, you know, we've got very talented wardrobe people here. Cynthia Bergstrom gets a great look on the actors, and so I try not to meddle as far as style, but occasionally I do get involved in color.
Oh wait, we are thieves, and worse. And now they
And I get involved on some level. You know, casting is the other area that the directors get involved in. Although the final casting decisions are made by Joss and Marty, but when you sit and you read with the actors, for the most part, from my experience with directing the show, has been that we pretty much feel the same way. I'll make notes as I'm reading as the actors are auditioning, and then we compare notes, and we pretty much tend to go with the same pairings. I usually try and pick at least 2 people
world of possibilities.
when I listened to, during casting, at least two people for each role that I think may work, with usually one that's preferred. And I'm usually in sync with
A professional, maybe.
Marty and Joss on that.
Professional couldn't have found me.
Obviously, all the major casting decisions have been made early. All of
I got my soul back.
our ensemble cast was chosen before I was involved. But for the individual episode as a director,
You have a choice.
you do have some input. It was a fun set to work on. Angel's Mansion.
Yeah. I hope evil takes
It was, visually, from a cinematographer's point of view, it was fun to shoot.
You and me, Faith.
Relatively easy to shoot. The challenge with Angel, with David, and the same challenge that we have with Spike,
Humans existed.
is that they're great when you're shooting them at night, but there are a lot of day scenes written, and they can't be in the sunlight. So
I came here.
my style as a cinematographer has been
Found out that there are other types.
to use practical sources at night. I'll use lamps, candles, fires, what have you. In daylight, I like to use windows. I like to use sun sources and bring light in from the outside.
Keep trying.
Well, obviously, if you have a scene where you have
You can trust us.
a vampire walking around
This can all change.
in an interior scene, he can't be in sunlight. That's always the challenge for the cinematographer and for the director, is how do you tell a story? And I may want Sarah in fabulous sunlight streaming through a window, and yet David can't be in the sunlight. We have to give him a path that's circuitous, so he can walk around the sunlight, stay out of the sunlight. That's one of the fun challenges of the show, and I'm sure it's one of the challenges of Angel now. I don't have to deal with it quite as much. We only have Spike, and Spike's pretty good at dodging the sun. He's been burned enough times where he dodges the sun quite well.
I'm sorry for the extreme measures. Fortunately, this is a rather extreme circumstance.
Whatever.
Please believe, nobody is rushing to judgment.
This is on a stage. This is in the back of this truck
To help you.
is what we call poor man's process. We simulate movement, and the truck, the box of the truck is built on inner tubes, so that it can be rocked back and forth. And when you see light moving through the window of the truck, it means that there is a grip or an electrician out there panning that light through or moving a flag through, and that's how we simulate. We simulate the movement, and it's a very common process in Hollywood or in filmmaking in general. Poor man's process. They may be in a car, they may be in a truck, they can be in a train, any kind of a moving vehicle. We did a show earlier this year. I think probably the best show we've done this year. That it was a show featuring Spike, and there was a huge fight in a subway car. And if you watch the sequence, you swear the subway car is moving along at 40 or 50 miles an hour. And the subway car never really moved. It was static. We rocked the camera, and the rest was done really, literally with smoke and mirrors. And when I say that, I mean that the effects people, Bruce Minkus and Leo Solis, our effects team, set up fans and smokers and blew smoke by the windows to give movement. And I set up 4 mirrors at each corner of the subway car, 4 what we call 4x4 mirrors, 4 feet by 4 feet, and then I set up on either side of the subway car 2 smaller mirrors, 2 foot by 2 foot, and I took a light down one side of the subway car that was a blue light or daylight, and down the other side of the car, which was incandescent light. I used big light, very powerful lights, 20Ks and 6K pars. And by shining the light in the mirrors and turning the mirrors, we were able to simulate light moving all around the car. And when you would rotate the mirrors on the side of the car, it looked like light was flashing through the windows. So with a combination of moving the car, moving the camera, the smoke and the mirrors, we sold the movement that we were looking for. And that's just a typical Hollywood trick that we used.
What can I do? I want to help.
Still got your ticket back to the mother country?
Well, this location was the one I spoke of earlier, where the crane was 2 hours late getting there, and that was the shot that we just saw, which is the big shot of the ship that comes down into a shot of Eliza and Buffy. Was the shot we were setting for. And then we had the logistics of the fact that even though the ship was docked, there's still the logistics of tide. So where the ship was at one level in one shot, it might have been 2 feet higher or 2 feet lower in a subsequent shot. It was as the tide went out, the ship went down, and then later on the ship started to come back. We were there long enough, the ship started to come back up again.
Faith, nobody is asking you to be like me. But you can't go on like
What I had done was kind of blocked it in my mind. I diagrammed the location when I was there,
Faith, you're hurting
and
yourself.
and then I sit down and I start to diagram. I literally take a pencil and paper and start to diagram various scenarios to make the scene play. I diagram them out, and then I go through and I read the scene again and try and decide if it'll work within that scenario. And that's how I came to the decision to shoot the scene this way. I wanted Eliza to be already on the ship when Sarah found her. I wanted to get the feeling across that she was leaving, and that Sarah had to talk her out of leaving. Had to bring her back, reel her back in. And of course, there's the element of the fight. There was obviously a very large fight that happened here, and it was not in a location that we could go back to. We had to finish the fight that night. You can't recreate a ship. So we had a lot of elements to deal with, and we only had a certain amount of dark hours. You know, you're always fighting. If you're shooting in the daylight, you're afraid of losing the sun, and if you're shooting at night, you're afraid that the sun will come up. You're always fighting the light, and we fought the light right to the end. When we finished, it was just before sunrise on this particular morning. It was a long day. All of these pieces, as you see them, are done with the stunt performers and then with the real performers. So you need to do everything a number of times on a performance level, and then you also need to do it a number of times for a camera angle. So it makes it a very, very difficult night. And of course, then we have our dustings. We had several dustings, and each one of those has to be shot very specifically because you have certain elements where the camera needs to be locked down. We had to do, in this particular instance, we had to do what we call a blue screen and shoot Eliza against a blue screen and shoot a plate of the ship in order to then have someone dust in front of her. And that gets into the special effects that we do. Every show has mechanical effects and special visual effects. We dust, we make people appear, we make people morph from one body into another body. And all of these elements they're all time consuming to do because they have to be done in a very specific manner in order that the post-production house can make them all work.
That bodes well.
I was very happy with the way the show ended. It was such a well-written show, and it was a fun show to do. And I thought it was one of our better shows of that particular season. It was very difficult for me to go back to the camera, and literally, I was back at the camera the day after the show ended. I finished directing one afternoon, and the next day had my light meter on and my contrast filter, and was back on the set working with another director and shooting again. And that's always a challenge for me, because you go from directing to shooting to directing to shooting, and it's sometimes a difficult transition because you want to say to the current director, well, what if we do it this? If it were my show, I would do it this way. And you have to kind of bite your tongue and sit back and let each director do their own thing.
Grr, arg.
So remember to like, subscribe, and be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Phonogram, Twitter, Tumblr, Tinder, Grindr, Facebook, Twitter, Vagina People, Facebook, Live Journal, Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, Phonogram, Grindr, Twitter, Instagram, Grindr, Twitter, Live Journal.